Now that the tirade's over, I'm basically going to go through and sort of point out some areas where I was wrong, because that happened. And I mean, it's not like I can go back and fix the video. They already have, many of them already have almost 10,000 views, which is a lot for me. And there's a few other things I'd like to talk about, like dropped plans that were going to be in the tirade, but I cut out for whatever reason, or changed how it went, and maybe I'll talk about a bit about what I'm doing next. That kind of stuff. So yeah, to start with, I guess I'm not going to talk about Tirade 1 because there was the prologue. Technically it was the One Piece video, Rising Stakes in the Action Adventure Shonen, which, if you look at the playlist, it is at the beginning of the playlist. And there was one mistake I made in that one. When I start talking about Fairy Tail, I bitch about a bunch of, like, the bland characters, which I say a million times during the tirade itself, too. But I also mention trash character designs with the picture of Flare on, like, I show an image of Flare crying, that one scene of her with her boobs, like, taking up 50% of the frame during this emotional moment. I don't know why I attributed that problem to character design. Like, there's nothing wrong with Flare's design, and if I take an issue with Fairy Tail's character design, it's in that it got weirder and more goofy over time, which is also true of One Piece, but in One Piece, the setting got weirder over time, too. The Grand Line was weird, and the New World was even weirder, so it made sense for the people inhabiting those places to also look weirder. But in Fairy Tail, the character designs get weirder, but the setting never changes. They're still in just a regular, standard fantasy place, so I don't know. So I did talk about my problems with that scene in Tirade 3, the fanservice one. But, yeah, I just don't know why I attribute it to character design. That was an older video. A lot of my older videos had shit I wouldn't say. Anyway, on to the part 1. Yeah, Luffy-Natsu comparison. God, you don't know how many times, especially early on, I would say Luffy, but I meant Lucy, and I would say Lucy, but I ment Luffy. I don't know what. Well, it doesn't help that Luffy was Lucy at one point. He disguised himself as Lucy, but I don't know. I guess that's happened to me before when I've gotten into two different things at the same time, or read them, or thought about them a lot, and they have like one character who sounds a little bit like another character. But yeah, so one minor thing, Mavis Vermilion, I pronounced it Mavis because I read the manga, so when it was spelled M-A, I pronounced it like the Japanese syllable M-A, Ma. But apparently it's pronounced Mavis, which I wouldn't have been able to tell unless I watched the anime, and I never watched the anime. So, just a little thing. Probably a more major thing, honestly probably the whole reason I'm doing this video, was because there was a little rant I went on in Tirade 1, where I talk about how Natsu seems to be doing something far more intelligent with knowledge he shouldn't have had. He, held the king hostage and made himself a villain, which is what Mystigun was trying to do to make Panther Lily the king. And I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense, but I both times I read it and skimmed it or whatever, I somehow missed the one long cat. He told Natsu. He overheard Mystigon, then he flew over and told Natsu, then he flew back and told Mystigon that he told Natsu. So there's the intelligence that, the knowledge that Natsu I thought he didn't have, but he actually did have, because I'm a fucking idiot, and I totally forgot about this one minor character doing something. So I went on this whole rant. It just makes me cringe now, because it's all, like, pointless. It's like 2 or 3 minutes on this, and whoops. So ultimately, I don't really have a lot bad to say about Natsu's intelligence. It's just, like, compared to Luffy, there's no nuance to it whatsoever. And, like, honestly, the worst I have to say is during the Cobra fight when he turns off his brain to no noticeable effect. So is his brain just off normally? Like, he stops talking for a bit, but he keeps fighting. Like, yeah, I'm not too big on that one. I much prefer in the Luffy fight against Eneru, where he stops using his brain and he can't do anything but dodge instinctively, because no shit, that's what turning your brain off implies. Though I guess there was still the weird bit where Natsu victimizes, he turns Faust into, like, the villain, the king who's been terrorizing the country, and if Mystigon wins, the king has to get he has to get, he's still evil, and Natsu's like, man, look, don't you guys, you city folk, like your king? Isn't it bad that I'm beating the shit out of this guy? Like, I don't know, that was a little eh. Oh, another part during the video I said Xerath was the main antagonist. I mean, I don't blame me for getting that one wrong, because I wrote it before Fairy Tail ended. And like literally, it was literally like 5 chapters before the end when Xerath gets, he walks off to the afterlife with Mavis, and Acnologia, he's suddenly the final boss. It's like, I guess I couldn't have predicted that one. I mean, yeah, of course I couldn't predict that Mashima would take the villain he's been building up for 530 chapters and just write him out for the one who's kind of been around for like 300 chapters, I guess, and not being a major instrument in the story. Whatever. It's like a Nintendo game with these bait and switch villains, honestly. And yeah, at the end of that video, I mentioned that, oh, I'm not done with the One Piece Fairy Tail comparison yet. I am, or I'm not, I was, at least with the tirade. I was going to do more, which I guess I'll kind of explain later, but I ended up not doing it because I felt like I got my points across well enough without it. And also, I mean, it was nice to, I did some other comparisons in the first one, like the comparing Natsu's relationship with Igneel to Gon's relationship with Jing from Hunter x Hunter. But during the rest of the tirade, I don't do a whole lot of comparison, mostly because I guess I wanted to avoid going off tangents and possible and just stay on topic. Anyway, tirade 2, this was the magic and the setting sort of analysis through the lens of me trying to defend Fairy Tail and failing. This one got a bit of a response. Okay, there was the gag early on where I mentioned, like, nailing all these fine bitches, and I have a bunch of the ladies from Fairy Tail on screen, including Wendy, and a few people were like, why is Wendy there? But what no one noticed or said was that she was holding I can't pronounce her name. Cheryl, the cat. And for like a brief few second, the words "fine too" appear above her because dated memes, a cat is fine too. So my takeaway from this is that people object to the idea of nailing a child, but do not object to the idea of nailing a cat. So therefore, lolicon, not okay. Bestiality, totally fine. Okay, guys. Obviously, I don't want to fucking have sex with either. Come on. Holy shit. There was one bit in the video where I had, I thought it was weird that the elder Magic Council guys were chiding Sieg, and like he was like, "What? How did you even get in the council?" Like, okay, I mean, how would a member of the Magic Council not know how his peers got in the Magic Council? That's still kind of weird. But on the screen I had the panel where that was happening, and Sieg even says like, because I have high magical power, which I do. So it was there. Did the 10 Wizard Saints not exist at this point? But I don't. That's not the point. The point is that I said that Sieg got this position the same way the old guy did, but he explains that he got the position differently in the panel, even though it's all the rest of it's still fucking stupid. And I think lastly, though this is a pretty big one, this is the second reason that I'm doing this video. There was an interview. I tweeted about it because I thought it was funny to shit on this Mashima. Jesus fucking Christ. Basically, Mashima said outright in the interview that anyone in the setting, all non-magical people, can learn magic, even though as I sort of shown in the video, that really can't be do people just grow magical cores when they start training magic? Otherwise the Adolis thing wouldn't have worked. And again, he says like, oh, everyone can train, just like the main characters. Maybe he didn't say that, but the main characters don't train. They pull magic out of nowhere. So basically it makes no fucking sense, and the interview didn't help that at all, but he does claim a point that contradicts the whole point of my video, where the point of my video is that, if a normal person can't work for power, then it sort of undermines the narrative that's shown in as a, it's not a genre, as a action adventure series in that demographic tend to push. So, also a few people were like, oh, why'd you use Goku? And I mean, yeah, Goku is stronger than the rest of the setting by his birth, but he trains, he's still constantly training, so I don't think it's, even though I don't think it's misplaced. if he never trained, then yeah, I'd be like, why the fuck? I'm not gonna use this, but he does train, so just throwing that out there. Next few are gonna be pretty quick. Part 3, the lovely ladies. I mentioned Wendy. She can't be more than a moe character because she would lose her uniqueness. But that's only really true among fairy tale characters, because Shelia, the pink-haired wind god slayer chick, is also clumsy. She's basically identical to Wendy, honestly. So Wendy isn't actually a unique character in fairy tale at all. So except the guild itself. So I guess that's something. Tirade 4, I don't think I got anything wrong. The themes one. So yeah, and I don't have much to say on that, because I also didn't get anything wrong in Tirade 5, the funniest moments, except like the core idea of the video. I guess in this case I will talk about an area I fucked up and would have changed somehow. But, because the idea with the video was for it to also be the same as my interpretation, or the interpretation of the chicken cross the road joke I heard. And, in that, you hear the chicken cross the road joke, and you're trying to think of a pun, but you get, it's a non-joke, you just get a straightforward answer, so you get something you don't expect. So the idea would have been you click a top 5 video, but you get an analytical video instead. But it's also a top 5 video? Oops. Sorry. Yeah, I was like, no one seemed to get that, and I was like, oh, because I fucked it up. Shit. So yeah, whatever. What people did get is Tirade 6, which I did unscripted, like I'm doing now. Was really glad with the response to that one, but anyway. But because it was unscripted, I made a bunch of fucking mistakes, because I didn't have a chance to write it all out first. Like I say, 90% of Mashima's villains are the same, so there's no variation. But I mean, there's not a lot of variation if 90% of the villains are the same sadistic, prideful, evil, cocky guys. But there's still some variation. Who's different, actually? I should back this up with an actual point. Like, Xerath's not particularly sadistic. Merity doesn't have any emotions at first, I suppose. This is harder than I thought. I know there's other ones, there's gotta be some variety. Oh yeah, I got fucking lazy. There was a bit where I was talking about Leon and Racer, because in the manga, they fall off the cliff and explode, and everyone thinks they're dead. Then Leon just pops in practically unhurt. Don't kill me off so easily. But in the anime, the anime does this thing that I kind of like. I just never watched the anime. So if you watched the anime for Fairy Tail, like, okay, it's ugly as sin, but the soundtrack, pretty good, honestly. And yeah, they try to fix some of Mashima's fuck-ups. Like, in this case, they know that Racer, I guess they knew that Racer didn't die, so they had Leon save Racer. And I used those clips, but I should have used manga panels, because the problem with that, it was nice that they fixed the mistakes, but the problem was that when I was talking about something from the manga, I had to use the manga panels to get across what I was saying, because the anime contradicted or did not follow up with what I was saying. Like, I remember in the fanservice video, how Lucy tries to seduce the shopkeeper is much more sexual in the manga, and then there's one scene of Natsu, like the childlike, innocent Natsu, like grabbing her boobs, that doesn't happen in the anime, so I have to use these manga panels. So I don't know why I didn't use the Racer Leon manga panels to show how, look, Leon shut up and Racer wasn't there. That was dumb. One point I was trying to say that I realized I was wrong and then started saying something else, but I said the Magic Council dying affects the setting because, and I realized it kind of doesn't, because like I guess I was thinking that maybe because the Magical Council getting fucked over sort of led into the Alvarez arc like a year later, because I don't remember the Magic Council doing jack shit, but then I remember that just now that they did. I think they fired a Therion against Alvarez, but it's not like there were soldiers or organized resistance against, an international invasion. It was just Fairy Tail and, like, the handful of guilds that was helping them, because the main characters and their friends that they've been gathering across the series are the ones who do things, so... And I guess I sort of imagine that they overall didn't do much just because, like, the council got so fucked the year before, but, yeah, that didn't make any sense. And I think I said Mashima had been writing for almost 10 years, but he has in fact been writing Fairy Tales for 11, or he wrote it for about like 10 to 11 years. So, just another little thing I got wrong. So, here's one thing I didn't go into detail on, in this part, or Tirades, or the last part. I talk about, in the Tartaros arc when Igneel shows up. which is an incredibly stupid, but I didn't get the chance to go into why it's stupid. Okay, so Igneel was inside Natsu the whole time, except there's the one scene, like, after the fairy festival arc, yeah, where we see Igneel talking to Grandini, who's Wendy's dragon, and who's communicating through a ball of light, and Igneel's in some sort of lava volcano hellscape, and Grandini says something, he gets mad, like, you dare threaten the mighty and powerful Igneel? Nothing about this scene makes sense, in retrospect. Literally nothing. So apparently, this fire hellscape is inside Natsu, so the inside of Natsu looks like okay. And then Grandini is talking to Igneel like they're not working together, like they didn't come up with this plan to send Dragon Slayers to the future 400 years ago. And Igneel's dead. He's a ghost. He's threatening Grandini. He's like, or he thinks Grandini is threatening him, but they're both dead. Why? Oh yeah, and the other dragons aren't in their Dragon Slayers for some reason. It's only Natsu that has Igneel in them. Like, the other dragons fly from, like, they fly in from the distance to start destroying face, but it's like, the whole point of them being inside their Dragon Slayers was to give them antibodies against Dragon Slayers turning into dragons, like Acnologia did. Okay. Oh yeah, and fucking Sting and Rogue, their dragons are dicks. They made Sting and Rogue think that they killed their dragons, like they gave them this traumatic incident that was supposed to make them stronger, that didn't actually make them stronger because they're still fucking chumps next to Natsu and Gajeel. And then when they're called out on it, they're like, yeah, well, it was just a prank, bro. Like, no, it wasn't just a prank, but that's how it comes off, and just the fucking, they just are like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, we gave our surrogate kids lifelong trauma. It happens. Just, what the fuck? Oh yeah, and Grandini, I feel like there was a change in her plan because Polyskura, I can't pronounce her fucking name, the magic, or the healer lady who's ally of Fairy Tail, she's Idolus Grandini, so she's just human. But I wonder if at one point she was supposed to be the actual Grandini, but Mashima changed his plans, maybe? Because, I don't know, he definitely, like, some people say, oh, Mashima didn't plan anything, but he definitely did plan at least one thing, because there was the bit with Natsu and Gajeel being unable to leave the Freed's Jutsushiki, because he set it up so that only people who are younger than 80 years old could leave to trap Makarov, but Natsu and Gajeel got stuck too. Obviously because Gajeel and Metallicana were inside of them, or that was the idea. Which is weird because then the fighting but then there's a scene after that with the Igneel was that really supposed to be inside Natsu? What the fuck? I guess, like, it's magic, but it's also weird. Like in Naruto has a room for the Kyuubi, but it's very clearly a symbolic prison. But what's the fiery landscape supposed to? I don't. So yeah, it's all fucking stupid. And I never get to. Oh no, it's even more stupid. I'm not even done yet because like Igneel wants to destroy End, and Gray's dad Silver wanted him to destroy End, but like so did they not understand that End is Natsu? Or that destroying the book would kill Natsu? I mean, Gray I can understand, because, you know, they fight kinda later, but, like, Igneel, what did he want Natsu to do? Did he want Natsu to kill himself? And that could just be me forgetting details, so I apologize for not rereading Fairy Tail before making this video, you know, the third time. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. And the last thing I want to mention for this video was the, I guess why call it the overly long tirade? And really, it's because, like, I feel like between this video and the next one, you know, because this video goes into, you know, how Mashima constantly changing what he's doing ultimately makes the story meaningless because there's no consistency at all. It's nothing. Much ado about absolutely goddamn nothing. So I feel like honestly, pretty much every other video, except for maybe 3, I feel like, because 3 is, also, you know, how he treats his female characters, which is more than just contradicting things. I mean, that's part of it for sure, but there's a bit more to it beyond that. Really, in that one, it's how he's consistent with his female characters, which is concerning. But yeah, basically every other problem you can sort of attribute to the lack of consistency. So it's an overly long tirade because you could basically get the point across in episode 6 and 7. But I did have, you know, either the videos still feel different enough, I think, you know? So that was, I still feel like I wanted to do all 7. And of course 7 parts because 777, someone got it. There was one comment, he got it. That was cool. And more people probably got it, but didn't leave a comment, which is fine. Anyway, lastly, the Rave Master part. One thing, I guess in kind of defense, like, I only read, defense, I still fucked up. But, there weren't major fuck-ups, but it's just like, this was the last part, so you'd think it'd have the fewest mistakes, but it has mistakes. That's, because I kind of rushed the video a bit, because I said it, like, the day after it uploaded, I went to a friend's house, which is like a drive, like a 2-hour drive, and I was there for a couple days, and it was at his house that I rewatched all the Tirade so I could make this video. So I did kind of rush it, like, I was actually, like, the idea was to improve over the course of doing it, but I was surprised at how good the first one was in retrospect, aside from that fucking mistake. But yeah, I never reread Rave Master, and even if I did, the translation is fucking awful. Like, holy shit, there's gotta be like 7 different groups on this thing. The scan quality is fucking horrendous. There was one panel of Musical holding a sword that I actually stitched that back together. Like, you can clearly see where it's warped because of the page bending, but on the actual page that I had, it was in 2. Like, the top part wasn't separated from the bottom part because the scans were just not good. And that was all over the, like, so many bad translations. So, like, I almost want to, like, if I had the time and patience, I would almost want to scanlate Rave Master in higher quality for A, so that if you know, for just so that the panels that look good and are there, and B, because I want to canonize Dark Bling, because I'm the only one I've known to use that translation, because I'm pretty sure in original Japanese it's Bring, or Bringu, or whatever, however you pronounce it. Like, 4Kids did something else for their dub. I don't know what it was because I never watched it. And most of the scanlations I use, or pretty much all of them, they use Dark Bring, which bring darkness. Sure, I get, like, it bringer of darkness, whatever. But I like Bling better because, you know, it fits the hip hop name theming that Rave has going on. So yeah, there were just some parts that were just fucking hard to read because of the scans. And, like, I feel like I said at one point that Sieg took them to the past, or took Ellie and Haru to the past, but I think it just happened, so I don't know why I thought that. Maybe it was because of the translation. It was weird. But and then earlier I was talking about Nagisa, and I said they went to save their friend Nagisa, but they didn't actually know who Nagisa was at that moment. I realized that when I was getting the panels to use in the video. So just little mistakes like that. And at one point I say, like, Jalal has more sway on the plot than Urza. But, like, why would Urza have sway on the plot? Like, the thing with Fairy Tail is, since they're, you know, due to the nature of them being a part of the guild, missions either start because someone starts shit with them, or they go on a mission that happens to be plot related. So, of course, Urza wouldn't have sway on the plot. Why did I say that? I probably should have said, like, Jalal's a major character because he has more sway on the plot than Acnologia, the main antagonist. That would have been more reasonable of something to say. So that was a weird mistake. And so that's all the ones that I caught rewatching it. There might be other ones that I forgot, but yeah, that's there's your Tirade lies. Though you might see that the video's not over yet. So I don't know, I just feel like talking about other things like some dropped plans for the Tirade because originally it was this whole structure of it was going to be completely different. I think I was originally going to do like a sort of arc based, like, here we'll talk about the start of it, then we'll talk about the Lullaby arc, and then the Galuna Island arc, in a very linear fashion. But I ultimately didn't do that way because the problem with Fairy Tail is that it repeats all of its problems. So I would just, if I went someone wanted me to do a video on Alvarez, and he asked me a couple of times, and ultimately I never did, because I never talked about Alvarez that much except for in the ending or as examples, because all the problems with the Alvarez were there throughout the entire rest of the series. Like, I think, why Alvarez specifically is because, that arc seemed to make people, like, everyone has their different breakpoint, I think, where they just sort of, like, realize that Fairy Tail isn't that good. For me, it was Eration's, to a lesser extent, Tower of Paradise, but Eration's Stace was when I really went, wow, this manga is dog shit. Though I kept with it for a good while anyway, because help let me out. But yeah, like, I was thinking about doing a video that would have been sort of like a Dragon Ball Dissection-esque video, where I just sort of, like, go through it page by page, and, like, but in order to do that, I would have to literally talk about the whole manga, because there's this thing that was contradicted here, and then go on forever, and which would involve me referencing another part of the manga. And again, in order to go through every problem, I would have to go through basically every problem in the manga. It's so that would just be the overly long tirade on Alvarez, which might have been fine. I mean, it wouldn't have been that different from what we got, I suppose, except just focus on the Alvarez arc, I guess. But yeah, didn't happen that way. And it would have been way longer too, which I'm sure many people wouldn't have minded. There was the meme of me doing 277 episodes, which is funny. But yeah. So anyway, even after I changed that plan to do it arc-based, I was going to do an Adolis video. Like, that one kind of got condensed into the family video, the part 4. Because I didn't like how that video turned out. It was basically like, here's a bunch of random problems about the arc, and then finally going into the whole, the good guys just collapsed an entire dimension. This is a thing that happened. We're supposed to be rooting for these characters. Like, when I said, Urza Nightwalker's, grief over losing magic was, like, the strongest emotional connection I had to a character Fairy Tail, and that's true, because that's devastating. This whole fucking dimension losing its primary energy source, and all of civilization that's been built on it collapsing as a result. And that's how... Jesus Christ. But yeah, I didn't like how that video turned out, so I kind of had to put it in the corner of this other video, kind of. Anyway, one idea that kind of happened, but I was going to sort of like every part, back when I cut it down to 7 parts, it was going to have a sort of like concurrent second video that was completely unrelated to Fairy Tail. The idea kind of being to compare Fairy Tail to something else implicitly, just sort of like this kind of happened in some instances with like the part 3 on the fan service in Fairy Tail was followed by a video on the quote unquote fan service in Made in Abyss, and you can kind of see it in like the Skypia video. Like, that's obviously like, here's the world building of One Piece, and someone in the comments of that video actually got it like, next up, the world building of Fairy Tail. But I kind of already did that with part 2, so you can see our plans changed. And then part 2 was on the magic system and the combat, kind of, which was followed by the hockey video, which was on the combat of One Piece, kind of. But the reason I didn't go through with it all the way was because I started out with a comparison between Luffy and Natsu. So like, how do you do an implicit comparison to that video, to follow up that video? I do another comparison, but I can't do I fucked myself from the beginning, basically, so I decided not to force it. And like, the top 5 video, like, would I have done another top 5? No. Yeah, so that obviously didn't happen. But anyway, I guess, like, could I do more Fairy Tail videos? Yeah, I definitely could. Again, I'm mostly kind of sick of it. The anime looks like dog shit. Holy effects. What the fuck happened with season 2? Like, the color palette just goes to fucking shit. It looks all, like, look at the Tartaros arc, it's all gray and shitty looking. Like, why? Why did they do that? Like, because this part of the series is darker somehow, even though it's not really. Like, it's supposed to be a fun action-adventure kind of thing. Give it lots of vibrant colors, come on. Just look at the character designs. Look at Mashima's fucking... Natsu has pink hair. That's like the only original thing about him by Mashima's own word as a main character. But yeah, I mean, like, I could talk about the movie. There's the second movie that I haven't seen. The first one, I don't even remember very well. I don't even know why I watched it. I hated the Fairy Tail at that point. And I feel like there's a lot of scenes in the anime that, like, there's one scene, I don't know what happens in the scene, but, like, after the Adolis arc, there's a scene where Mystigon is talking to Faust, the evil king, and Faust is, like, getting exiled from Adolis, but it's, like, they're adding this scene to kind of give more closure to the Adolis arc, because it wasn't in the manga, so it's not canon, but, seeing how they're trying to, I'm curious, like, how do they fix these other mistakes that Mashima made, or going to... And I guess one thing I didn't mention that I wish I had, but, because Mashima, the interview, and by extension, all of the because he does question and answer things in the volumes where someone will point out a contradiction and he'll correct it, which is normal. But I don't think these are anywhere. Like, the only way I can find them is if I found or borrowed or bought, like, all 63 volumes of Fairy Tail and read purely for research's sake, just to see. But then, I'm just imagining the suffering, because he contradicts himself so much. Like, there's one I remember where during the Oration Stace arc, Nirvana first shows up and it has like 8 legs, and then suddenly it has 6 when it's suddenly relevant how many legs it has. And in the question thing, he's like, oh, maybe it dropped its legs to go faster. And I mentioned in the part 2 about the celestial spirit contracts changing over time. That was one of the things I remember from the volumes I had, because it's it's not that important apparently, because it was in the extras of the volume and not the actual series itself. But it's clearly Mashima covering his ass, because again, contradiction, he can't keep anything straight. So on one hand, maybe I'm glad they aren't everywhere, because then there's probably more mistakes in my tirade just because of things that Mashima's cleared up, even just, or because Fairy Tail is just suffering. But yeah, as far as what I'm going to, I could do videos on Fairy Tail. Am I going to? Probably not. I guess to plug some of my other stuff, I have my side channel where I do stuff kind of like this, the unscripted vlogs on some kind of subject. I haven't done it in a while, and this one's going on the main channel, so I don't know. But you could sub anyway. Oh, and there's the, if you missed it, the Monster Hunter Rage review, which is a Monster Hunter manga written and drawn by Hiro Mashima. And it's not really an analytical video, per se. It was something different. I made it a year ago now, holy shit. And I didn't like it, so I was going to remake it, but then I tried to remake it, or I sat down to remake it, and I was like, I can't remake this. This was made by a different me. I can't do this again. And so I just said fuck it and uploaded it on my side channel. And then, also, if you subscribe to the channel Maths Wizardry, that's the side channel for a YouTuber called MathWiz97, who I've mentioned that at the end of every one of my videos for half a year now, since he's a patron of mine. And we do a podcast called The Nen Show podcast, where the idea is that we read through shonen manga and arc by arc and talk about them. So right now we're doing Naruto. We just finished part 1. The first episode of part 2 of Naruto should be coming up in a few days. Yeah, this week. Yeah. And in a few years, we'll eventually get to Rave Master and Fairy Tail, I'm sure. So, yeah, that's the issue. It takes so long to fuck it, because shonen manga is fucking long, bro. So yeah, that's the next continuation of the tirade you're likely to get. Because I mean, I don't know. It's like the fact that the Five-Man Fairy Tail series is a fairly neat. It's a prologue, 7 episodes, and then an epilogue. It feels like I almost don't want to do more. Though, I mean, it'd definitely be good for my channel, because people like it. My videos, my channel's grown a lot since doing the Fairy Tail stuff, so. But I want to do other stuff. I mean, I teased it at the end of that video for a reason, because I want, the nice thing about having that tirade, seriously, if you don't know it, if you're a YouTuber and you have a big series in mind, just start planning it. Because by the time you finish the series, you'll have a bunch of other script ideas that you'll be dying to fucking do. Because it'll take so long to get through all the stuff you've been planning to come out. Or at least that's how it worked with me, because, so next up I think will be the Danganronpa videos. V3 is obviously the one everyone's gonna want, because it's recent, and a few people have already asked me what I think. I'm really excited to talk about that one. It's probably not going to be outright like my previous ones. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't think it's going to be a review. What am I going to say? Oh, look, the gameplay is better than ever. The aesthetic, it's good. It looks good. It still looks good. And, the only thing people want me to talk about is the ending. So I'm only going to. I'm not just the ending, obviously, but the themes, the ideas, just that kind of. Because that was my favorite part of analyzing Danganronpa 1 and 2, was going into the themes on how it handles leaving high school or having talent, and the mindset you need for getting out of school, just that kind of stuff, and especially in the second game, which was took an interesting spin on it. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, V3 is gonna happen. Before that though, I'm there. Yeah, there's Ultra Despair Girls. I never covered that. That one might be a more standard review. I don't know yet. I have to replay it. I still haven't. So I still haven't done that. And I might do a smaller video on Killer Killer, which is a spin-off manga. Maybe that one I'm kind of iffy on. It depends on, I have some things to say about it, but if I feel like I kind of want to, my last trilogy of Danganronpa videos was, here's why the first 2 are great. The first 2 games are great, and here's why the anime sequel is utter trash, but I can't just say, oh, the sequel's bad. I feel like my words had more weight because I was able to talk about how good the previous the games were. So when I said that, oh, the aesthetic of the Danganronpa 3 anime is trash, like I could point at my older videos and say, like, look, here's how much care was put into presentation of these games, so but I don't know if I can do something like that with the 2 spin-offs and the 3rd game, maybe. Like, we'll see how it happens. I have some ideas, but I don't know. We'll find out. So yeah, another one to get through kind of quickly is Chaos Child. I've only played chapter 1 of it. I mean, the chapter 1 of it wasn't bad or good, like, but I hope that I'm not saying it's, I hope to like it. I just wish I had the time to get to it, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do a video on it. It depends on what I have to say. Like, I feel like I already know the themes, and playing the visual novel is only reinforcing the ideas that I got from watching the anime. But yeah, I just need to get farther in the game to see exactly, like, what did the anime cut out? It had to have been a lot. Apparently it's a really long visual novel. So I'm probably not going to do a comparison. I think I didn't watch the whole video, but I did because I didn't want to risk getting spoiled. But someone did a video like why you should play Chaos Child, like, or why you should be excited for the Chaos Child visual novel. And I guess he thought the anime was shit, which is fair. So did Reading Steiner, who also played the visual novel first. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I already said all the positive things I had to say on the Chaos Child anime in my last video. Oh yeah, I guess, so yeah, take this as an invitation to watch, like, my previous science adventure stuff. My Chaos Head video, which I do like, is, like, my second least watched video on my entire channel. So good. And then, so yeah, watch that and watch my Chaos Child video so you can be ready for the new Chaos Child video that I may or may not do. Shit. I didn't think that one through. And, so yeah, there was another little teaser, a Made in Abyss possible video. Read the manga, because again, it's going to be like my other Made in Abyss video. It's going to use manga stuff, though that stuff that has been animated, because I think it's going to be like, I have some ideas, but I need to reread it to sort of formulate them into a video. But it'll probably be an analysis on the character Bone Druid and his arc, the 5th layer. So yeah, definitely read the manga. It's amazing stuff. The whole thing, but especially the 5th layer, the Bone Druid stuff. It's fucking, Like, I mean, I feel like, I guess to minorly spoil it, because what I think everyone knows about Made in Abyss being really fucking dark at times and fucking horrible and gory and oh Jesus fucking Christ, I'm crying right now thinking about it. Not really, but because that's how I got into it. Oh yeah, there's a video on my side channel called Made in Abyss is Not Edgy where I kind of talk about some of this, but like how I got into the series was people posting these really graphic, horrible, gory images, and I was like, well, this seems interesting. If that doesn't tell you about my taste, I don't know what else will. But aside from these, like, 2 particular images, there was one name that kept coming up in the discussion, Bone Druid, and I was... so anytime he was mentioned when I read through the manga, because I read through like 5 volumes last night, which is basically everything that was animated and the 5th layer, like every time Bone Druid was mentioned, I'd like, I'd be spooked even though I didn't really know anything about this character. So he's got this presence. I don't know. I want to unpack him and see what's going on up there, because he's insane, but I feel like just simply calling him insane doesn't do him justice. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, he's crazy. Hopefully I get a video out of that, and hopefully it's good. So I guess the last one I teased, if you didn't recognize it, it was a la-mulana, which is a Metroidvania dungeon. Well, it's clearly very Indiana Jones inspired, just kind of like dungeon delving and treasure hunting. If you thought of Spelunky, another game with a similar theming, Spelunky was inspired by the original la-mulana, but they're very different. Spelunky is like a roguelike, platformer kind of deal, and la-mulana is like it's a Metroidvania. So yeah, I played it, loved the fucking shit out of it. I almost got a video out of it, but I did the thing where I'm like, I want to do a video on this, and I got the script out in like 3 paragraphs, and I'm like, oh, this is like a 1-minute video. I can't do this. So I'm kind of widening the scope a bit from my original plans. But I feel like if I make a broad statement like la-mulana is the best Metroidvania ever, something I've done. I asked Best Guy Ever about it in one of his streams. I was like, hey, Best Guy Ever, have you played la-mulana, the 10 out of 10 Metroidvania of all time? Since I know he likes them. And he was like, are you sure it's the 10 out of 10 best Metroidvania? And I'd still think that, but I need to challenge that. I need to play other Metroidvanias. So that one, I really do want to make the la-mulana video, but I also have to play 7 games for like what's going to be a 7-minute video. But I did play Super Metroid recently. I beat it. It was fun. It was good. I liked it. definitely has reason to be held up as a classic, even today, but I need to play more, and then I need to replay la-mulana and get the footage and make a video. So yeah, get hype. Thank you for watching, listening. Thank you for your continued subscriptions. I already plugged my side channel, I plugged my podcast. Should I plug my Patreon? This isn't a patron video. The Patreon, it's all in the description. So yeah, thanks for listening. Thank you for sticking through the tirade. It was great. It was fun. I loved it. Catch you next time.